On RYPN, there is a user named tweetsie12, and they want to do all sorts of fun things. I've made fun of them before for it. But earlier today, they posted this all the way down here. Someone responded to them and said, "I think the main problem today is finding a place to run a big steam engine. Not everybody has a tourist line with a host as friendly as the Nashville and Eastern, or even owns their own line, Illinois Transportation Museum nonsense as an example, thus making an engine usually nothing more than a glorified replica display piece." And then tweetsie12 responds, "You know, I never actually considered that as a factor." You never actually considered it as a factor that you need a place to run your Y6B? I mean, this is just embarrassing. This is insane. So that is why I must show you that I am not as crazy as this little foamer. Look at what I have done with the time that I have been given. I am 19 and a half years old, and in my 19 and a half years of existing as a little foamer, I have done so much. Now I noticed that the most popular of any of these vlogs, if you can call it that, so far is my lawnmower training vlog. Now, here's my advice. If you were starting from nothing, like he appears to be, get yourself a garden wagon, go around your neighborhood. I mean, I don't have a neighborhood around here to go around, but go around your neighborhood and sell rides for 25 cents each. And eventually, you'll work hard and you can move up to a lawnmower as nice as this one. And then you can focus on what is really important. What I have not showed you before. The thing that makes this video worth putting on, which is, look at how nice my engine shed is. That's actually not finished. A long time ago, when that barn was built, all that was there was moved down here. And this lean-to got torn down in the process. And we said, we're going to tear down that lean-to, and where that lean-to is, I'm going to park my train one day. And look at how much progress we've done. Now, one day, lad, all this will be train track. And if we look right here in front of us, this is where the train tracks will go, where these trees are. You see, when I started building this, these trees were a whole lot smaller than they are now. And I left them up there as punishment for me. Because every time I would take a wheelbarrow of dirt, they would hit me and they would scratch me. They would tear my clothing to bits. But I knew it was punishment for me, because the longer I waited, the more they would scratch my clothing and irritate my skin. And so, after 6 whole years of moving dirt, like Beto O'Rourke, moving dirt, I have gotten this far. This pile of dirt. Now, you see this pile of dirt right here? I've been working at this for 6 whole years, and I've barely gotten 20 feet from the start. Now, here's where things get fun. I had thought about building a bridge, but bridges are expensive. And I look at examples of railroading all around, from real railroads to tourist railroads. I go, a ditch this small, they would never build a bridge over such a thing. So I decided to fill it in. And look at how successful that's been. One day, this will be train track. You can see I marked it out way back in the day. Now, when I first designed my railroad in 2012, 2011 probably about the same time I had my lawnmower train, I had the train track going some very unrealistic way. I wanted it to look nice, not actually be functional. But now I know about function. I went to the railroaders boot camp. I know all about railroading. So, I continue to walk where my train tracks will eventually go. But before my train tracks actually go here, I must first fix up my lawnmower train. And I'm going to go from trails to rails, as men do. And one day, right here, I would really like, over this ditch, this is the same ditch that we crossed just a few minutes ago. Across this ditch, I want to build a lovely little culvert, and a lovely little arch bridge over that culvert. And if we look in front of us, we can see our recreation of scenes from the Lorax. Now, I'm not all together sure why this is all being done. It has something to do with... Typically when I see a big mess such as this, I get all unhappy, because it means, oh, a housing development's coming. But anyway, right now, it means that taxes or write-offs or conservation easements, I'm not sure what all it is. Here we are. So we get back on track. There is where it will go. Right through, actually here. Right through here and off into the distance. We look at my train track, which isn't there yet. Now, if we look upon the beautiful scenery, we can see right there. That's where my train tracks must go. Right through here, over to there, then back over to there. Very realistic. Now, when I was just a 12-year-old, I wanted my train tracks to go down there into that ditch. That isn't really a ditch. And back up the other hill. It wasn't level. It just went. That's what I think about when I read people wanting to build their Y6B replicas. I think these are the same people who would make a railroad that goes boom boom. I know that's why you're watching that video, or this video. It's all just a balancing act between the crazy ideas and the realistic ones. Realistic is finding a lovely ditch to go lie down in and wallow in misery. But crazy is saying, I'm going to take my lawnmower train and run it all through this. Here we are. Actually, I'm a tree too early, I think. Nope, I'm right on track. Right through here we go. So this is where I want to put my train. Actually, even now that I'm walking around and showing you, I realize I'm off by a little bit, because right there is where it's supposed to go, I think. Yeah, it's supposed to go right there, not here. That's why you take flags out and mark the railroad before you go take a video out of it that you want to just upload directly without any editing. Struggle, struggle, struggle. Now, it's very important to know what you're doing when building a railroad before you get started. Otherwise, you end up with this. It might be a little bit difficult to see what exactly it is, but it's a hole in the ground. It's a hole in the ground that shouldn't be there. There's an old tweetsie video of mine that includes video of me digging this hole, because I thought it was me building my railroad, but no, it was me destroying my railroad. I was taking land that was already level and unleveling it. Very nice, I know. Earlier today, I was watching the new RYPN's video, and I thought to myself, wow, his cameramanship in this video really wasn't all that great. I should learn by his example, even though the video is entertaining. One day, I tell this every time a member of my family comes through this walking trail. One day, lads, this will be a railroad crossing. And this part is actually true when I say that it's going to be here. I always plan the railroad crossing to be here. It will go into the woods right here. And then it will turn. And then it will turn. Yes, here we go. And this is going to be a 2-foot gauge railroad, you realize that. 2-foot gauge, not some standard gauge railroad that can't make sharp turns. It's going to be 2-foot gauge, but before it is 2-foot gauge, it will be lawnmower train gauge. And so we shall cross through the woods and emerge at the eventual drawbridge over the pond spillway. We end up here at the beautiful pond. The beautiful pond. And one day there will be a lovely drawbridge right here, leaning all the way over to here. And the train will cross over the pond so nicely, and all the children will be happy, and we shall all eat anchovies and orangutans and breakfast cereals and other stuff. But you think to yourself, all that trip through all that woods just to look at a pond? What do you think you are, Tweetsie in 1957? And I think to myself, no, we have something far better than Tweetsie in 1957. We don't need a cowboy show, they got that. We don't need a fancy roundhouse, Spencer's got that. We don't need the best Christmas train in the Carolinas, Denton Farm Park has that. We don't need a big model train layout, New Hope Valley Railroad has that. We don't need a great scenic railway journey, Great Smoky Mountain Railroad has that. We don't need a museum, Wilmington has that. We don't need, I'm out of examples in North Carolina, we don't need 2 steam engines to sit inside of a shop and collect dust. Southeastern narrow gauge, not South narrow gauge, even though they do too. They just got 1 steam engine that they're letting collect dust. But they're fixing it up. They're doing a decent job. But we don't need 2 steam engines to sit inside of a shop and collect dust like the Southeastern Railway Museum. New Rail fan has had an effect on me. We got this! We got this! A power line right-of-way. I know what you're thinking. A power line right-of-way? What good is that? Well, eventually, we're going to take this power line right-of-way. And you notice how the trees, they form lanes. And so, I always envisioned that each one of these lanes would later on be a tubing lane. And we would take our snowmaking machines. We have those. Or have one, and it's broke. We would take our snowmaking machine and we would fill this whole power line up with snow. And we would call our snow hill on the Duke power line right-of-way White You could see the joke coming. But in realistic thinking, the goal was have a train that goes to the tubing, but not snow tubing, at least not all the time, tubing like they have at that Crowder's Ridge place. Yes, that is what we must have. A train ride to that. And then, at the end of the tubing run, after they have tubed themselves out, they'll run right into the creek, and then we can have water tubing. How does that sound? Much more realistic than a Y6B replica. Alright, thank you. I would like you to subscribe. After all,
It ain't much time asking. I heard him say, gotta find me a future. Move out of my way.
they found me!